Welcome to the You Were Designed for Greatness podcast. Each week we will bring you inspiring tips, stories, and ideas to help you be all that you can be, discovering your greatness. Featuring Donna Tashton. Donna is a transformational life and health coach, a highly sought-after public speaker, and the founder of Vibrant Living. She has helped hundreds find a better life, free of stress and living the greatness they were truly designed for. And now, your host, Donna Tashton.
Welcome. This is Donna with You Were Designed for Greatness, and I would like to welcome you to podcast 66. It is a beautiful sunny day in Michigan where I am, and I have a guest all the way from Arizona with the wonders of technology. It's about 9 degrees here today. And so April, I'd like to welcome you. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
And what's the weather like where you are?
So we are at a sunny 73 degrees today.
Oh, hush. Well, welcome. I am excited for you to share your stories today. You have several. It's hard to choose what we're going to share in only 15 minutes.
Right.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
So once again, my name is April, and I am a mom. I'm an author. I'm an entrepreneur. I live in sunny Arizona. However, I am an Air Force brat, so I have traveled all over and met some really great people. If you don't find me behind a book, you will probably find me taking a nap or outside hiking.
Awesome. So when you think about You Were Designed for Greatness, and you believe that now, how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so that's really great, Donna. I never believed I was designed for greatness until recently. And some of that came from past experiences. Some of it came from things that people told me as a young child. Some of it came from just bad decisions. Yep. But the word greatness, I would never have put myself into that box at all until probably 2 years ago when God reminded me of what he thought about me and how great I actually was.
Wow. So how'd you get to that point?
Yes. So it was a very interesting journey. It looked more like a very windy, twisty road than a straight road. But in 2019, almost 2 years to the day, I went through a sudden divorce. I had 20 minutes notice that I was getting divorced. And not only was I getting divorced, but it was my third divorce. And I was all of a sudden a single parent with a new home and a full-time business and trying to navigate what my life would look like.
And you just built a house too, right?
I had just built a brand new house. Yes. And I was the primary breadwinner. So needless to say, I was very surprised and shocked and just did not know which direction to go. And people have asked me, well, it was your third divorce. Like you had kind of been there before. But divorce is like a death, right? It hurts every time someone dies. Yeah. And the other two weren't really a surprise. They were relationships I had been in and kind of known they were going to end. Right. This one, I woke up on a Saturday to my husband saying, hey, can we talk? And 20 minutes later, our marriage was over.
Oh my goodness. And, you know, to say there had to be a little stronger words than shocked.
Yes. Yes, there were much stronger words than shocked in that moment.
I'm like, in that moment, what was his reason?
In a nutshell, being married was not the life that he wanted.
Okay, so, he was done.
And that was really the amount of explanation I got in the 20 minutes was this is not the life I wanted, so I'm leaving.
So after you can't breathe.
Yeah,
and you try to catch your breath with that and figure out how to pick up the pieces of your life. Because it is. Marriage joins people together, and even when they end and you know they're going to end, it still is painful.
Right.
It still is painful. So what happened next?
Yeah. So at the time, I was working for my church, and I'm still currently the marketing director there. And so the way that we split, he completely disappeared. So it was left to me solely to tell our friends, our family, some of his family, that our marriage was over. And if you think about the way marriage is viewed in the church and think about the way divorce is viewed in the church, so I still had to show up every Wednesday, every Sunday, every service, and faced these people asking me, well, what happened? And, all these things. So probably the first 3 months, the best way to describe it is a roller coaster. I literally woke up every day feeling like I was on this roller coaster and I just could not get off.
I'm not a fan of roller coasters.
Right. Well, I was a fan when I was younger. Not so much anymore.
They make me nauseous.
Yes. And you definitely don't want to ride one for 3 months, Donna.
No, not for 3 months straight. You'd be dizzy.
Yes. And that's literally how I felt. I would wake up feeling dizzy. I would go to bed feeling dizzy. I felt like I was living a life that wasn't mine.
Yeah.
I kept waking up thinking, okay, when do I get my life back? Because this one is not the one that I was living 3 months ago.
Yes, it's not the one I wanted.
It's not. And what I can say is, in those moments, I would love to say, as a good Christian woman, I prayed and I fasted. But you know what, Donna? I didn't want to hear from God. Yeah. I didn't want to pray with anyone. I didn't want anyone calling me, telling me, oh, we're praying for you. I didn't want to hear any of it. Because in my eyes, God, you let me down. Right. You let me be in this situation knowing what was going to happen, and yet you didn't stop anything. So honestly, I was angry. I was very angry.
So what was next happen? How did you move forward from there?
Yes. So about 4 months into this process, I had gone to Colorado with my daughter just to kind of get away. Mm-hmm. And I was at a cousin's house, and I was outdoors in my happy place. I was hiking, and I just kept telling God, life isn't fair. Like, this isn't fair. I did it right. We went to, counseling. We did all the things right.
Yep.
And God said, life ain't fair. Get over it. And I went, wait, what? I'm sorry. You just said what? But the funny thing is that God knows us, right? Because my friends know that I'm that straight shooter. Yeah. I would be the person that would say, look, life isn't fair.
Right.
What are we going to do? How are we going to move on? And so God told me, you need to move the finish line in your life. And I had no clue. Excuse me. I had no clue what that meant. Move the finish line. What am I running a race right now? What does this mean? And so God took me to 1 Corinthians 9:24 that talks about we're all running a race. Mm-hmm. Not everyone will achieve the prize, but you are to run to win. And what God showed me was, in those relationships, I wasn't running his race. I was running my own race. Oh. And I had established finish lines that he never set. And so I needed to go back and move those finish lines.
Awesome. So what is this whole experience brought you today? Where are you today?
Yes. So throughout that healing process, I actually ended up writing a book. So the funny story is that 2 years before any of this happened, God said, I want you to tell your story. I was at a conference and I thought, that's great. I have no clue what you're talking about, but okay. And then about a year after this happened, I heard it again. God said, you need to tell your story. And so I wrote a book that's not about divorce, but it's about how we create unhealthy patterns and how do we break them. And so that's what the book is about. And after I wrote the book, I thought, I'm good. I'm great. I did what I was supposed to do, and now I'm moving on. And I remember, Donna, sitting at my desk, and I had just released the book, and God said, there's more. Like, what?
There's always more.
What do you mean there's more? You know how hard it was for me to tell this story, and now there's more? And so a few months after that, God put it on my heart to start helping other women to move their finish lines. And so whether it's relationships, whether it is financial or health or any area where we are simply not running the race that God has ordained for us, is to help them move their finish lines. And so now that's what I do, is I coach women, which I said I'd never do, Donna. I mean, had you asked me 3 years ago, would you ever coach women? No, because we're too emotional. We cry too much. Never. But what I realized was it was my purpose.
Yeah.
It was my purpose.
Awesome. So you're helping women find their purpose.
Yes. Yes. So find their purpose, and then also to help them break through the barriers that are keeping them from pursuing their purpose. Yeah. So what I realized was every time I had a failed relationship, it was setting me back from doing what God called me to do, because there's a healing process. So there was financial healing, emotional healing.
Right.
Each divorce came with a lack of trust for God, for people. Right. And until I could get through all that, I could not pursue my purpose, because we need God and we need people to pursue our purpose.
Yes. So that's amazing. So the name of your book
is Move the Finish Line.
Awesome. So what has you said you love to read? What are some books that have influenced you along the way?
Yes. So I really took hold to Dr. Cloud's books. And one of my favorites that I read recently is called Never Go Back, 10 Things You'll Never Do Again. And in reading the book, I was like, oh, I've probably got this covered, right? I've spent, a year and a half in healing. I've been to therapy. I'm good. You'd be amazed at how many of those things that I was like, oh my, I'm still doing that. But the number one thing that stood out in that book was his first one: never go back to something that is not working. And so if it's not working, if it hasn't changed since the last time, we don't need to go back. But that was one of my favorites that I read in the last probably 6 months.
Awesome. That's great. So, and it isn't amazing to me how those broken places in our lives end up being the launching pad for us to move into our purpose. And we wouldn't be the same in our purpose if we hadn't had those broken places that we want to complain to God about, that we probably had something to do with causing sometimes.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we did, not all the time, but learning to look at all things really can work for good.
Yes.
Boy, it doesn't feel like it when you're on the roller coaster ride.
No, not at all.
But it can work for good. And if we can, that's one of the things, if we can give that encouragement to hold on, because it will get better. It can get better, yes. Especially with seeking help and getting support with that. Any other thoughts that you're thinking today that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes. Never give up on yourself. And always give yourself grace. We are our worst critics. And sometimes it's very hard for us to forgive ourselves to move forward. But just know that with the same amount of grace that God gives us, don't we deserve to give that to ourselves?
Yes, we do.
So when you find yourselves in those moments and you feel like I failed again,
yep.
Just know that we have God's grace and mercy and that we deserve every bit of it.
Awesome. That is so true. So if people want to get your book or find out more about your coaching and business services, how would they find you?
Absolutely. So you can connect with me at aprilnowlin.com, which is just my name. And if you want to get a copy of the book, you can go to movethefinishline.com. Okay. And Donna, I actually have a special for your listeners. So no matter when you're listening to this podcast, if you purchase the book and use the code VIBRANT, then you'll get 50% off of the book. And that's for however long this podcast exists. So,
awesome. That is great. That will be a great resource for listeners as we go forward with that. So how old is your child? I don't know if you told me.
I didn't. She is 12, almost 13. So I will accept all the prayers that you want to give. But she is wonderful. She's a middle schooler, plays basketball, and she is just my joy. She's a great kid.
Awesome. And her name is?
Her name is Ray.
Ray. Oh, awesome. Well, April, thank you for coming and sharing your story, for being real. And I mean, to say in some places that we're mad at God, but it's a real place. When we've gone through loss, most of us get to that place at some point, and how we can recover and not only help yourself, but now you're helping other women. So great job.
Thank you for having me, Donna. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. That is a wonderful story that April shared, and I hope you enjoyed it, and it is an encouragement to you that we can keep going and be kind to ourselves. If you feel like you might need some support and someone to talk to, I am here for you. You can reach me at ivibrantliving.com and on all social media platforms as well. And you can schedule a complimentary conversation with me to help you step into your purpose and destiny, because if no one has ever told you before, you were designed for greatness. You are amazing. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will look forward to seeing you again. Oh, and remember, please like, share, and give reviews to this podcast so that we can reach more women around the world. Have an amazing day. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this powerful episode of the You Were Designed for Greatness podcast. Please share this with others who might enjoy it. For more info on Donna Tashton or to contact her, visit iVibrantLiving.com.